My sister and I have always had a strained relationship. I usually just let things go and try to keep the peace. We both have sons who are around the same age. My nephew is 13 and my son just turned 11. For my son's birthday, I bought him the new gaming system he has been wanting. He was absolutely thrilled and he plays nonstop. My sister is bad with money. I usually have to lend her money for bills and stuff for my nephew. I know my nephew doesn't always get the best Christmas gifts, so this year I went a little crazy and I purchased the same gaming system for him for Christmas. I already had it ready and wrapped under my tree. Yesterday my sister's family came to visit. My son asked me if they could go play video games. I said yes and reminded them to be careful. About 30 minutes later my son comes running to me crying. I asked him what was wrong and he led me to the front hall. When we get to the stairs I see the new system smashed on the floor. Someone had thrown it from the upstairs and it was now smashed to pieces. I asked my son what happened and he sobbed and pointed at his cousin. I asked my nephew if he did this and he started to laugh. He said that it was a stupid baby toy and that he saw people break them online. My sister came in and I told her what happened. I explained that this was an expensive system and that her son needs to be disciplined for what he did. I told her I wanted her to pay for what her son broke. She laughed and said no. She says I shouldn't have let them play unsupervised. That it was my fault and that I am a bad parent. She said my son will get over it and that it was not important. Seeing my son sitting on the ground next to his broken system trying to put the pieces back together tore my heart out. I walked over to the Christmas tree and grabbed the system that was meant for my nephew. I pulled the gift wrap off and I gave it to my son and told him to go upstairs and set it up. My sister asked me why I was making such a big deal when I had another one already. I then laughed and told her that was her son's Christmas gift. That since it wasn't important and it was just a stupid baby toy, then they obviously won't miss it. I then told them to leave. My nephew realized what happened and began to cry that my son had stolen his system. I said no, he was the one that he smashed. My sister was livid and told me that I will never see them again. I just said okay and slammed the door. Other family members have now been calling me nonstop and saying I am an idiot and that I ruined my nephew's Christmas. I don't think so though. My nephew is 13. He is not a stupid kid and he knew what he was doing. I don't care that it was over jealousy, he is old enough to know better. My sister was not going to make the situation right, so I just did what I had to do. They all think I should buy another new system for him, but I don't have that kind of money. I'm starting to feel bad about this and I am wondering, am I an idiot? Not the idiot. Your nephew needs to learn that he can't just destroy whatever he wants and pretend like everything is fine. Don't get him a new console. He can get a nice pair of socks for Christmas. Your sister needs to take a parenting class. How could she laugh that her son threw your son's console down the stairs? I can absolutely see where your nephew gets his disregard for other people's feelings from. I bet your son is happy, and to be honest, that's all that matters here. Not the idiot. If I had smashed anyone else's system at 13 or younger, I would have been held responsible for and punished for my actions. Your sister sounds as selfish as the child she is bearing. She gaslighted you to make you feel bad about her uncontrollable son. As her son walked out of your house crying, you should have said, "Who's the baby now?" Not the idiot. Your nephew and your sister are a horror story. He doesn't deserve the smashed system, much less a working one. And what happens when he comes over and again smashes your son's system? I'd go no contact with your sister and nephew and anyone who would back their behavior. That was just awful. I would not keep people like that in my life. So my wife and I have been married for 12 years and have 2 daughters. We have always had our share of household duties disputes, which are usually resolved. My wife quit work back in March to focus on schooling and help her dad. He was diagnosed with liver cancer, I think. Anyway, she has only helped her dad out once by taking him to his surgery and aftercare, which was back in April. She goes to school online, so it is at her own pace to an extent. She has failed or nearly failed every class since quitting, 2 or 3 classes, and does little to nothing around the house during the week. This all came to a head after this weekend. Our septic line from our house to the ground broke and I spent the better part of Sunday underneath my home trailer, not that it's important, in sewage, mud, and all other matters of nightmares to fix it. During this time my wife sat in our room watching TV. We needed to get groceries and she waited until I was finished and asked if I would take a shower and come with her to the store, which I said no. This became a huge deal because I never help out allegedly. I work 40 plus hours a week plus go to school, online, and spend time with my children, usually on Saturdays my kids and I go into town to play Magic the Gathering. So I ultimately got so angry about the whole ordeal that I bluntly told her she needs to start doing more around the house, otherwise get out. If I am taking care of the kids, paying the bills and cleaning the house by myself, I might as well be by myself. Not the idiot. Same thing happened with my ex-husband. My ex lost his job and started focusing on online school. Ended up failing most of his classes, while contributing nothing to the house. I worked 40 plus hours as well, took care of our daughter, and cooked, cleaned. So glad I'm out of that. I would suggest the same for you. Your wife sounds lazy. Anyone that says you're an idiot hasn't been in this situation before. It's exhausting and unfair. Not the idiot, fixing the septic is nasty work. After fixing that, you should have come into a shower, clean clothes, and the drink of your choice. No way you should also have to make a trip to the grocery store. I don't blame you for being mad. I'm a woman if that's relevant. Is your wife suffering from depression or anything? If she hasn't historically been a lazy daisy, time to look for some answers. But barring any issues, she needs to pull her weight or get out. Not the idiot. Good on you for standing up for yourself and recognizing it's an issue before it gets out of hand. The least she could do is get decent grades since she allegedly does nothing else all day and she can't even do that. It's an investment which she won't be able to pay back if she doesn't follow through, and guess who that will likely fall on? You. Shape up or ship out. I am the youngest of 3 children. I'm 27 and I'm engaged, planning on getting married next summer and then trying for a baby. We don't want to start trying for kids until we have at least a bit of money in the bank because babies are expensive. My brother is 36. He is married with 3 kids. I'm not sure exactly how much he and his wife earn, but they own a house big enough for everyone to have their own room plus a car each, so estimating a lot. The kids are all under 10. They have some remaining debt from when they both went to college, and my brother is also trying to start his own business, but from what they've said this is all financially manageable for them. My sister is 31, the middle child, and a single mother. When she was 16 she got pregnant. She wanted to put the baby up for adoption, but our father, who was very conservative, told her that if she did anything but raise her child he would cut her off, from both the family and the will. My sister had always planned on being a mother, but never thought it would be so soon. She finished high school and worked part-time jobs until she could afford to move out. When her son was around 8 she went back to school and earned a teaching qualification, and is currently in her 3rd year of teaching full-time. Her son is now 14, nearly 15. Both our parents passed within the last 5 years. In the will, Dad left me the deed to the house, in the hopes I'd make it my family home. I was the sole owner. The house was in poor condition and in a poor location, so, with my siblings' permission, I put some of my own money into the house, fixed it up, and sold it for just under $230K. My siblings did not put money towards the house, only gave me permission to sell, which I felt I should ask for as we all grew up there, and we all had belongings still in the house that we were able to split appropriately. My dad left my brother about $50K to start his business. Dad left my sister $1K and a letter saying she should have made better life choices. When I found out what he'd done I immediately said to my sister that I'd split the amount I'd earned from the house between us. She tried to refuse but I insisted. My initial plan was to split it clean down the middle between me and my sister. My reasoning was that my brother has his own money and is, by his own admission, doing well financially, and Dad gave him $50K. My sister and I are both still deep in debt from paying for college and soon her son will be going to college while I'm planning on a wedding and a baby pretty soon. When our brother found out he was really upset and said that it wasn't fair that I got the house and made money off it, and he felt it was more unfair that I shared with our sister but not with him. I think both my brother and father are being idiots for no reason. Not the idiot, it is your money, so your choice what you do with it. I understand why your brother is upset, but it sounds like your sister and you need it so much more than him. Especially since your dad was very passive-aggressive towards your sister in his will, despite her changing her whole life to avoid being cut off. She did not deserve that in my opinion. Not the idiot. Do not share that money with your brother. The house was gifted to you and you can do with it what you please. Your father sounds like the biggest idiot here, sorry to say, but your brother is running a close second. You are doing a wonderful thing by sharing with your sister who has been treated unfairly. I don't see any mention of your brother leaping to donate some of his cash to your poor hard done by sister. He seems pretty eager to get a cut of your inheritance though. Not the idiot. Also geez OP's dad is an idiot. You are not an idiot because the house was given to you. You could have done whatever you wanted to that house, and it wouldn't have been the brother's business, aside from his belongings in the house. It sounds like the brother wasn't upset about you making money selling the house until he found that half the money was going to the sister. The brother definitely dislikes the sister as much as his father. I want to preface this by saying I love and respect my wife. She's my better half in every sense, and I don't know what I'd do without her. I absolutely do not think of her as a trophy or object. Since before our wedding day we've had an inside joke. When we first met I was unemployed and she was a waitress, but she did some modeling for her boyfriend at the time, a photographer. Within a couple of years, we were dating and after we got together I'd gotten an internship at a company that turned into a full-time, well-paying job, while she had started working as a teacher in a public school. Since my internship turned into a full-time job I earned more than her, about 2.5x what she does on average. When we were planning our wedding she said we should start saving for X, Y, and Z, and I said I could pay for all of it right now. She said something like, "Oh my god, I'm a trophy wife," but she laughed when she said it and she found the situation funny. It's become a recurring joke whenever our income is mentioned or I have a work event that she comes to that she jokingly refers to herself as a trophy wife due to the difference in income and the number of events where she ends up being my plus one. I've made the joke myself in private more than once, and she's always found it funny. Then last night I had another work thing. She got dressed up and came with me, and I made the joke in front of a female coworker I was friends with. I don't remember the exact phrasing now, but my wife offered to get us each another drink while we talked, and I replied in a way that used the phrase trophy wife in a way that was clearly joking, and my wife laughed and explained it's an inside joke plus a summary of the joke to my coworker, but the coworker looked a bit put off. She waited until my wife left and then gave me a verbal beat down over how I referred to my wife. I repeated that it was just a joke when my wife came back. My coworker glared at me for the rest of tonight and again today, but it's not had any further repercussions, and I told my wife what happened and asked if she was alright with my joke and she said she thought it was funny. Update, I have been asked to meet with HR department. No idiots here. You didn't mean wrong by it, but inside jokes are only funny when you're on the inside of them. Everyone else just gets the surface meaning, and the surface meaning here is that you don't value your wife beyond her looks. You used a derogatory term that just happens to be okay because your wife is cool with it. As an analogy, if you referred to your wife as your fool or idiot, she might be cool with it, but most people are going to assume she's trapped in an abusive relationship with an idiot and making jokes to cover it up. You are the idiot but barely. Inside jokes are great and all and your wife clearly doesn't care, but if you call your wife a loaded term, fool, idiot, blonde baby, trophy wife, sugar baby, etc., to another person who is not familiar, especially a woman, it is going to sound wrong. You can both say you're joking all you want, but most people are going to continue eyeing you for warning signs. Everyone's the idiot here. In jokes are fine, but if the terminology used is offensive then it's best not to say them in public. My partner and I have an in-joke where I call him a dog and he calls me a little flea. It's cute when we're together. But if he called me a flea in public the people around us would be rightly concerned. Just be mindful of that sort of thing. I work at a small tech company where it's basically split between designers and project managers. I'm the admin assistant, so I do a little bit of everything until we find out what I'm good at. The others in the company come from much different experiences and life backgrounds than mine. On the PM side, it's mostly women, and they love to talk about all the things they buy, travel, etc. One of them pulled me into a conversation about travel and said we should all bring in passports to compare places we've been. I said, "Oh, I've never had a passport." She was shocked, asked me why not. I just said, "Oh, I can't really afford to travel." She looked confused and asked about when I was growing up, where would we go on family vacations. I said we didn't and changed the subject. She kept looking at me weirdly after that. Then came the purse thing. I've carried the same bag with me for about 6 years. One of the girls laughed at a fraying strap and said it was time for a new one, and suggested this brand I'd never heard of that kind of matched the style. I looked it up and said that's a really nice one. But wow, $150 for a purse. She looked at me funny and said, "Do you think that's a lot?" I said yes, that's basically 2 weeks' groceries for me. She was very taken aback. The inciting incident happened last week. One of the women recently started the process of buying a house. She's really excited and got her a nice candle. One of the women said that I was next, and I just said haha, yeah right. One of the women asked when I thought I'd start looking, and I was honest and said that I don't really see homeownership as a part of my life. They were all shocked and kept trying to tell me why I was wrong, and I admit I got a little annoyed when they wouldn't drop it. I said, "With what money?" It got awkward after that, and the next day one of the women pulled me aside and told me that they're sick of the way I always have to be a downer about money and that I always make it awkward when I talk about what I can't afford. I said, "Well, how do you think it makes me feel to have you guys constantly flaunting all the purses and high-end makeup and designer clothes you're wearing?" She said that they were bonding. That's what women do, and that from now on, I should try to be more discreet about the income disparity between us. I said, "Sure, if you guys will be, so will I." She gave me a look and said that I'm acting kind of like an idiot and punishing them for something that's not their fault. I told her that she was certainly entitled to that opinion, but that I think it's tacky to brag about all of the lavish things you can buy. She got pretty upset at that, and now just one of the PM girls talks to me. Am I an idiot? You are the idiot. This whole post screams, "Oh, woe is me, screw rich people, blah blah blah." Congrats on getting your validation. Just going to say that these women do not sound catty like you seem to try to make them out to be. If they were really looking down on you, don't you think they'd more likely exclude you from the conversation? Treat you like a pariah? Every single conversation seemed to take the money route when you brought it up. You sound jealous and bitter, which is a downer to be around. Get over your poor me attitude and try to get along with your coworkers better. Everyone's the idiot here. That's why rich people never get openly excited about anything they're genuinely excited about and have to hang around other rich people. Doing so openly makes them idiots, and you probably are a downer. In every bonding conversation, there's always a person that doesn't have the same experience, and it really depends on the way they bring up their differences. Apparently, you don't have any levity when bringing up your differences. Everyone's the idiot here. I can see this situation from two perspectives. Catty women with money and someone coming from the working class being extremely defensive about money spending. What people value is shown where they spend their money. I know people who don't make that much spend most of their change on vacation. I work in retail and have managers buy a new car and go out a lot when I know that they really shouldn't. People who work paycheck to paycheck still have the stuff to splurge on because that's what they value. It sounds to me like both sides are being kind of passive aggressive.